Hi friends, Grateful Grandma here. Well, today I'm going to read a book that Adam, your daddy, Jeff, it was his favorite book when he was little, and I used to read it to him over and over again. So I'm going to read it to you, and it's called Dennis the Menace Takes the Cake. Oops. Okay, Dennis the Menace takes the cake. Happy birthday, George, said Mrs. Wilson to Mr. Wilson. I've made you a special breakfast with all the things you like best. Said Mr. Wilson from behind his newspaper. Thank you, Martha, but all I want for my birthday is some peace and quiet. Did you hear that? It's good old Mr. Wilson's birthday, Dennis said to Ruff. We'd better get in there and wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Wilson, shouted Dennis as he burst into the Wilsons' kitchen. Goodness gracious, said Mrs. Wilson as she dropped the breakfast tray. Uh-oh. That boy is a monster. He's a menace, sputtered Mr. Wilson. Get out of here, young man, right now, and don't call us. We'll call you. Look at this mess, yes, yelled Mr. Wilson. You call this a happy birthday? Now, George, said Mrs. Wilson patiently, remember, Dennis is a marvelous boy. Yeah, Mr. Wilson, don't be so cranky. Jeepers, I just wanted to wish good old Mr. Wilson a happy birthday. Then Dennis heard Mrs. Wilson say, George, dear, just sit down and read your paper. I'm going to make you a nice chocolate-covered sponge cake for your birthday. Your favorite. Said Mr. Wilson. A cake, cried Dennis. Why, I'll make Mr. Wilson a cake, too. And I know just how to do it. Come on, Ruff, let's find Joey. I'm going to need some help with this one. Gosh, Dennis, said Joey, a sponge cake sounds like a great idea. But I don't know how to make one. Do you? He asked. I know exactly how to make one, answered Dennis. Watch this. Dennis picked up a large sponge near a pail and placed it on the tray. There, he announced. Sponge cake. Boy, is Mr. Wilson gonna be surprised, said Joey. You can't make sponge cake with a real sponge, can he? Now all we need is some chocolate frosting, said Dennis. I know. Let's ask old Margaret. She knows how to make that stuff. Margaret knows everything. The boys went over to Margaret's house. It's Mr. Wilson's birthday, Margaret, and I want to give him a cake as a special present. We have the cake, but my mom didn't have time to make the chocolate frosting, so we thought you could whip some up for us. Please? Well, she thought a moment. All right, I'll do it. Swell, said Dennis. Can you make it soon? Okay, Dennis, Margaret said with a sigh. I'll have it ready in 60 minutes. In exactly 1 hour, Margaret appeared at the Mitchells' door with a bowl of chocolate frosting. Gee, thanks, Margaret, said Dennis, as he whisked the bowl out of her hands. Want me to help ice the cake? Asked Margaret. No, said Dennis, but we'll meet you at the Wilsons' in a few minutes. Then Dennis practically slammed the door in her face. Dennis and Joey started icing the sponge. Boy, this frosting sure tastes good, said Dennis. Yeah, it's swell, said Joey. Mr. Wilson's sure gonna be surprised." Just then Gina walked in. "Hey, what are you guys up to?" she asked. "We're making a chocolate-covered birthday sponge cake for Mr. Wilson. Want to help?" "Sure. What can I do?" asked Gina. You can find some candles for the cake." "We'll need a lot of them, 'cause Mr. Wilson is awful old," said Dennis thoughtfully. "Why don't we just use one large candle?" said Gina. "I'll run home and get one." Gina came back with one candle. Dennis grabbed it and stuck it right in the middle of the cake. "Great," he said. "Now we're ready to go over to Mr. Wilson's." Just as they were about to leave, Dennis's parents peeked in around the kitchen door. "Why, Dennis, where on earth did you get that lovely cake?" asked Mrs. Mitchell. "Margaret helped us make it," answered Dennis quickly. "It's Mr. Wilson's birthday, and we're going to go over and give him this surprise cake. Want to come along?" "Sure, we'll come," said Henry Mitchell. "Boy, is Mr. Wilson going to be surprised when he cuts into this," said Dennis cheerfully. "Okay, guys, we're almost there. Get ready to wish Mr. Wilson a happy birthday." "Happy birthday, Mr. Wilson," they all said at once. "Surprise!" "Well, well, I hardly know what to say," said Mr. Wilson. "Blow out the candle, Mr. Wilson," said Dennis. "Here, I'll help you." And Dennis blew it out with one big puff. "There, now all you have to do is cut the cake." "What kind of cake did you say this was, Dennis?" Mrs. Wilson asked as Mr. Wilson tried to cut it. "It's his favorite, Mrs. Wilson. Chocolate-covered sponge cake, and we used a real sponge." "Well, no wonder," bellowed Mr. Wilson, glaring at Dennis. At that moment, Mrs. Wilson held up the chocolate-covered sponge cake that she had baked. "Happy birthday, George dear. Now, let's all have some real cake." "You folks help yourself," said Mr. Wilson. "I've had it with sponge cake." "Gee, Mr. Wilson, I'm sorry. Next year I'll make you another kind of cake," said Dennis. "Don't bother, Dennis. Please don't bother," grumbled Mr. Wilson. Joey whispered to Dennis, "Mr. Wilson sure was surprised, wasn't he?" The end. Hope everyone has a great day. Love ya, Adam. Bye-bye.